That's Manic Street Preachers, and this is the day. This is the Culture Studio. I'm Janice Forsyth, and I'm so pleased that James Dean Bradfield from the Manics is with me. Welcome to the programme.
Hello there, Jan. How are you doing?
I'm extremely well, and I was saying to you during that, you are looking really well, because I've been looking at these mean and moody photographs of the three of you, because there's a whole emphasis with this new record. It's like, yes, it's reflective, and we've reached a certain age and stage, and the three of you look great in these photographs, but you look as if you're sort of like, you should be in Mount Rushmore, and here you are sitting in front of me, you know, slightly chubby of cheek. I'm not saying you're fat. You're looking sort of shiny and healthy.
It was all sounding so good up until about 20 seconds ago. But kind of, well, there's always a kind of a simple reason for why, like, some people are not smiling in photos, and that's because I've got kind of slightly what you would call Victorian milk teeth. So when I smile, you know, it looks a bit gummy, so I don't like smiling.
Characterful, that's what I think.
Characterful is an American word. Really,
do you think that's too American?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
They don't have Victorian teeth. Milk teeth, that's for sure. So the new record's called Rewind the Film, and I guess there's a clue there in the title of perhaps something a bit more reflective. Are you kind of taking stock?
Yeah, I mean, kind of, I think, you know, in the past we're known for being quite confrontational in some of our lyrics, even though, you know, that dies down as you kind of get a bit older. But yeah, it's always there with us, definitely. But when it came, I think, you know, this is our 11th studio album. And when you kind of go past your 10th studio album, you know, there is something about it significant. You know, the symbolism of just a number should mean nothing to you. But it does, it's like a clarion call in your head that says that things have just changed and you've got to move on. And when Nick started giving me the lyrics for this record, you know, they were much more reflective. They were much more gentle in nature. They had a sense of mortality, you know, dare I say it. And I just couldn't be riffing across like that, like I usually am with my Gibson behemoth guitar. It would have been like ridiculous. And so kind of the lyrics literally led us down another path. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's any accident, because you do feel as if you have to go somewhere else after your 10th album. You just do. That's
so funny, because you always hear about, you know, the difficult second or third album, but I've never spoken to somebody who's produced so many albums. They're talking about this being a kind of watershed with the 11th studio album.
It is. Well, we kind of the number 10. You know, it has got a kind of certain. You know, the number 10 shirt means so much in football, means a lot in rugby. And the 10th album, if you get to it, you know, you kind of, if you're in a band that's lasted a lot longer than a lot of your friends' marriages, then you know something's going on. You know,
I wonder how many the Stones have made studio albums.
Oh God, I think it might be 21.
Right, okay. I think. That's looking good then.
We're on track.
It's funny, because I was thinking, thinking of numerology and stuff, thinking of 10, I would think, okay, is that the first half of the output? And there could be another 10, but maybe you're just thinking, lucky we've made the 10, so it's all downhill from here on.
Let's look at it. Let's look at it sensibly, shall we? If you've on your 11th studio album, you know you're closer to the end than you are the beginning.
Okay.
So.
But isn't it the case, though, that with these, you're talking about Nicky's words, and that, but this is one of a sort of double set of records. Is that right?
Well, we around about 2 years ago, we played a concert at the O2 where we played every single we'd ever released in one night. And after that, we said we weren't going to play Britain for 2 years, and we were going to go away to our J.D. Salinger-esque bunker in Cardiff and just try and come up with something. And that's what we did. But kind of about 8-10 months into that process, we kind of tried to make sense of the tracks we'd already done. And it was just a jumble. It was just a jumble on the page. You know, it just didn't make any sense to us. It looked awful. And we just, then before our eyes, you know, all the song titles started kind of like becoming clear, and we realised we'd made two distinctly separate albums by accident. So we just separated them at birth and just thought, right, this is what we've got.
You separated your twins.
You did, yeah. And we've always had a fair amount of, you know, schizophrenia in the band, because we've always shape-shifted and gone from the Holy Bible to Everything Must Go. Mm-hmm. And there's always been a slight willful kind of almost self-destruct button in the band, where after we've had success with something, we move on to something else. So kind of, no, it started happening so subconsciously, not even we can control it, kind of thing. So that is the beast we've created. So this record is out now, and then the other record is out next year.
Which presumably will have a distinctly different sound.
It is, yeah. It feels like it's much more based on the European mainland. It feels a bit more experimental for us. It's much more jagged. There are songs on there with a lot of kind of like almost kind of, well, with Eastern European song titles.
Wow.
There's one song which is half in German.
You guys are nuts.
Well, kind of, I think we've actually just talked about the things that really outwardly inspire us in the next record. I mean, there's still, a fair degree of kind of like of furrow brow on there. But there's a lot of things in there in terms of our travels in Europe, you know, especially over the last 5 years or so, that's inspired us so much that's what's made it onto the record.
And that sounds like such an interesting process. It's to do with a group of people who've been together for a long time, who know each other well, but it also sounds like one of those strange sort of synthesis things, which is difficult to say, let alone try to figure out what I mean. What I'm talking about is the fact it sounds like almost two sides of one record, or without one, the other one wouldn't have happened, perhaps.
Yeah, and kind of perhaps in the past we would have, you know, released it as a double album. Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I think for the first time in our lives, we really took into consideration the times we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, I don't think an audience wants to digest a double album. And even more troublingly, I don't think journalists want to review double albums.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I really don't think journalists want to review double album. They don't want to invest in it. They don't want to kind of trying to have to kind of like sum it up in one soundbite, you know, because you can't. So kind of we separated them, and I think that's the best thing to do.
I'm going to play a song from Rewind the Film, Running Out of Fantasy. Now this, I've been reading about the inspiration for this. Interesting. A Jan Morris book.
Yeah.
Jan Morris, who used to be James
Yes.
a long time ago.
Yes.
I think it's so funny that so many people will not know that. Just think of Jan Morris. I think that was part of the inspiration. Also Fitzcarraldo.
Yeah, no, there is. Yeah, definitely. I think there's actually a line in kind of like in Werner Herzog's Fitzcarraldo, where he goes, "I'm running out of fantasy." See, there's bad German there. You're right there. I'm just a kind of bad actor stepping out of a low there kind of thing.
Listen, you're not, because Roland Emmerich, who's just made a film, White House Down, has just been on the show. Yeah. And he sounds even more sort of cartoon German than that. So that's completely cool.
I mean, yeah, Jan Morris is just an amazing writer, you know. If you actually just read a book, you know, whether it be a book about Venice or Wales, kind of like, you know, she just intrinsically latches onto the subject and becomes it when she writes it, you know. Yeah. So it's just, you know, kind of, she's an easy person to take inspiration from.
OK, here's the song. That is very beautiful. That is Running Out of Fantasy from Manic Street Preacher's new album, Rewind the Film. And here we are with the first section of the programme. We're very much concentrating on film, and there we have seamlessly woven into that inspiration from Werner Herzog's... is it Fitzcarraldo? Yeah. I'm running out of fantasy.
You see, you've done it now.
I've done it now. We can't help. We cannot help it. And so, yeah, it's interesting. We talk about the fact 2 albums, lots of material. This one more reflective. But you're all a cheery bunch, really, aren't you? You've all got light and shade.
I think so.
I don't mean cheery. That's too broad brush.
No, it is a weird thing. I think we talked about it a while back, how we can be so poisonous, so bitter, and so confused and so worried about everything to each other in the studio. And then when we actually go into the outside world, we're much nicer. It's almost like we expedite all our badness when we're with each other. But kind of, I think we worry about things a lot. But
worrying is good, though, if that means high standards.
Anxiety is freedom and all that. But I don't know. I mean, kind of like I said, we actually still love being in the band. You know, it's such a lucky thing to actually be able to have the indulgence of talk about a film you like, or talk about a place you like, or talk about an artist you like, or talk about things you utterly detest, hate and despise. You know, what a great position to be in.
And to get the feedback from the fans, and that is the thing now, you know, all these albums down the line, they've grown older with you. It's
weird. I mean, kind of, I have noticed that kind of people are bringing like their kids along to like they're bringing their kids along to our concerts now. And kind of when I did my solo tour, you know, I kind of one of the guys in my band, you realised his tattoo was older than one of the members of my band. Kind of thing when I did my solo tour. So it's getting to that point now. But it's strange. I went to see Bruce Springsteen concert in Cardiff a couple of months back, and I was seeing all these parents that had their kids held aloft, and their kids were singing all the words because they'd been indoctrinated by the boss. Yeah. You know, because their parents had played so many of his records over the years, and it's kind of happening to us now, which I think I kind of feel good about it.
That is a nice generational shift, though, isn't it? Because I don't know what you grew up listening to, but there's certainly no way I would be going to a concert with my parents.
No, it's weird, though. It's kind of... I suddenly realised a couple of months back, you know, that, you know, because punk was one of our main inspirations when we were young, you know, especially the Clash and the Pistols. It's weird that kind of like for a bunch of people that were wanting to be, you know, punkish or punk-esque kind of thing. We actually didn't have the one prerequisite of what it was to be a proper punk. None of us had a generation gap with our parents. We all had amazing relationships with our parents, which is weird for a bunch of punks, you know. And so I grew up listening to lots of kind of like Elvis, you know.
Did you?
Like so much, and early Stones, because my mum loved the early Stones and stuff. So kind of,
your parents are cool. Mine were listening to Sing Something Simple and Perry Como.
There was some country stuff in there as well. But I remember my mum took a day off work when Elvis died, you know, and that was one of the first, and she kept the curtains closed because I was scared. I came downstairs and I thought something had happened in the family because the curtains were so closed.
Lord.
And that really imported to me for the first time how much music can mean to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I do remember that moment, actually.
Yeah.
I was with, funnily enough, my oldest friend was with me, and we were playing, this is so unusual, we were playing cards with my dad.
Yeah.
And the news came through about Elvis, and we all sat there. We didn't close the curtains.
No, my mum
left that to your
my
mum.
mum swung for the fence.
And in fact, is there not a bit of an Elvis tribute? And I really like the video that goes with the single, which I'm going to be playing, Show Me the Wonder. It's a really lovely video because it's like you're all there in a kind of a loving
down in Porth
mock-up of. Is it still there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because it looks like, I was going to say, it looks like a 1970s working man's club.
No, it's the real deal, man.
Seriously?
It's in Porth, which is down to towards Bridgend and Swansea, kind of in West Wales, and there's still lots of places like that in lots of parts of Britain, you know.
I was looking at the hairstyles of the punters and thought it was the 70s. Okay.
I mean,
Sorry.
I loved that day, and all I wanted was a mock-up and for my mum to be there because she's not with us anymore, kind of thing.
Golly.
I wanted it to be a lock-up, and like, I was wearing, kind of period clothes.
Yeah.
I've never felt so hot in my life. Just the polyester fire hazard was just unbelievable. I just felt like I had a flame in my throat and in my head. It just felt so hot.
Well, that explains why it looks so authentic, the whole thing, if that's the real club. I presumed this was just done in some kind of studio and these were all actors.
No, it was.
Oh,
it had a skittle alley in the basement and everything as well. Yeah, if I lived next door to that, I'd be in there for a pint.
You'd be very happy.
I would be quite happy, definitely.
Jonathan Mears, who is a writer of note, has been on Twitter and says, not only is Mr. Bradfield a top crooner, he's a Forest fan to boot. No pun intended, he says. You see, that's a writer for you.
I mean, I am a kind of Forest fan. I'm a fan from a distance now because I never get up there anymore. And I go to see Cardiff Blues rugby, my regional rugby side quite a lot. But I keep a keen eye on Forest. Their glory days will come back again. They will rise, I'm sure.
Just before you go, I see that you guys are taking part in the unveiling of the Wales National Mining Memorial and a commemoration marking the centenary of, how do I say it, the mining disaster.
In St. Kenneth.
Thank you. And you're going to be doing a kind of soundtrack, I think there's going to be a dance performance? I am,
yeah. Well, it's kind of a Nicky Wise brother, Patrick Jones, who's kind of a really successful playwright. He's written a piece around it, and he's just asked me to to write a kind of a brass horn section piece around it.
Oh, how lovely!
I'm really excited about it, though I've got a deadline, so I'm getting a bit scared about it in my head now.
Oh well, I've reminded you. I hope that's not a bad thing.
No, it's okay. I'll get there.
It's really lovely to see you.
Yes, lovely to see your new surroundings as well, Jack.
Yes, I know. I'm here in a proper studio. That's James Dean Bradfield. Thank you very much indeed. And I'll remind everyone the new album, Rewind the Film, is out on Monday. And this is the new single just been talking about. If you haven't seen the video, go online and have a look. If not, you can just imagine it. This is Show Me the Wonder.